For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a kind of updated product from Dometic. So with me here today, I've got the Dometic Club Air Tour Driveaway Awning 260. Bit of a mouthful, but it all has meaning. So the club is down to essentially the design that's on this. It's a kind of air model, hence the air name. Tour refers to this brand new tour fabric that Dometic have introduced for the 25 season going forward. And the DA is drive away, so it's a driveway awning built for small little camper vans. So not necessarily big motorhomes, this is purely down for camper vans as such. Now, the club was a model they introduced probably about 3 or 4 years ago in the driveway function. It probably wasn't as popular as probably most people perceive, just because it's probably of a bigger unit in comparison to most other awnings, but the main thing is the specification and the functionality you get with this is actually a lot superior to a lot of other models, and the new design, and they tweaked it a little bit, works well. It's definitely coming more from like a caravan orientation background rather than say like a camper van. So the features and the specification is basically more equipped to that. So yeah, you've got a little bit more bulk, a little more weight, but you've got a lot more functionality as well, which is the main part of it. So firstly, let's start with this brand new fabric we have here as well. So what we're running with is the tour material. So it's a 300 denier ripstop material. What they kind of want to do is get a better continuity, and they've actually changed the dyeing process that they've done with it. So what we now have is a dope dyed or solution dyed fabric. Now, the best way to probably explain is the difference between, say, a carrot and a radish. Your carrot being when you cut it all the way through, the colours throughout the whole of it. Whereas your radish, you have colour on the outside and then pure white on the inside. So the previous Pro fabric was more radish, whereas this is now carrot. So this is important because as you kind of have sunlight, it strips away that outer coating, and then you have basically the inner part come directly through. So with this carrot scenario, it means that as the awning's exposed to more sunlight or been used, it's going to look sharper for longer. The ripstop also makes the fabric structurally stronger as well, and it actually still has a really nice kind of handle to it as well, and you've still got a great waterproof level. So that's one of the big updates for this model. Another one's they've actually changed the canopy. So we've got a bit more of a side canopy as well as a front canopy now. So it means you've got a bit more shelter for the doors. So even if you're entering from the side door, you've still got a bit more protection. The water's not coming directly down and in. A little bit more protection, even these little struts in here to elongates the canopy, as well as apex ventilation points at the corner here as well to help enable airflow. One of the kind of the unique things about the club is the fact that all the side panels are completely removable. So you can remove the sides, the front, and an individual door panel. So it means you can almost split the awning into 2 separate bags if you wanted to. It means it's much more manageable, easy to store around the camper van, and if you wanted almost like a glorified gazebo built onto the van, you can do that as well. In terms of the attachment methods, you've still got the main 3 attachment methods you can go for. So you can either it's got a beading directly on there as well, so you can feed that into a normal sort of C rail. You can also buy a fixing kit that will allow you to connect it onto a wind out or some sort of reamer rail awning like I've got here. You've got webbing straps located there, so you can always just throw those over the top if you really wanted to. Velcro tabs, you want to also Velcro around some of the roof bars, and that again works really quite nicely. The height fitment range does vary, so it goes from a 180 to 220. So again, it's more designed for just a smaller vehicles itself. We've got a door located on the tunnel section, so it means we can actually enter the van without going through the main body of the awning the whole time. And also there's a lot of optional extras you can add to the club, be it sort of additional mesh panels. You can buy annexes. You want to sleep people but not take up your internal space, you can unzip this whole panel, have an annex or a conservatory for more living purposes. So again, that's one of the nice unique features about it as well. Other things is obviously the sheer amount of headroom you get in here as well. Because of the way it's shaped and it's more that kind of traditional kind of style, I'm about 6'2", but I can stand up quite happily pretty much on all corner, and the front's very vertical, the side's very vertical, so it feels like a good amount of space. The name suggests it's a 260 width, and it's basically a 250 depth in the main body, plus then the tunnel section. You can also add some additional storm straps to give it really bouts and braces, but you've got its low level points located here. We've got colour coordinated pegging points, so you've got the orange points here, which are basically to show you which points you would peg first. In terms of pitching, what I would recommend doing is obviously attach them to the vehicle first, pegging underneath the vehicle, then peg your tunnel section, and then the front. And I've done a pitching and packing video you can see on this model, a bit more tutorial one as well, as long as we've got the old version of the long shot. So lots of different information you can also use to your disposal if you wanted to. The side panels are basically very similar. So this one side panel here, we've got a big PVC window and also a doorway. Now, this window here actually has a mesh part built onto it. So what you can do is actually, if you wanted to increase ventilation, you can roll that back, then you've got your mesh to allow you to get airflow. And then when you want your water tightness, obviously you just zip that up, and that gives that. The side door, which allows you to go into the main body of the awning, also has mesh built into it. So you can roll that back, toggle that back, so between this panel and this panel, it's almost like a complete mesh panel altogether. The one on the opposite side still has this door, but it's just a normal blank window panel. We'll look around that later when we go into the camera. But it sits really quite nicely. And of course you've got kind of pegging ladders, so you can adjust the pegging system depending on the height you've got here. Even a little Velcro tab keeps it tight along the bottom itself as well. The front panel, again, like I said, is completely removable. The door can open up from right to left or left to right, depending on what you want to do with it. And of course, what you can also do with it is you've got different zippers. So you can kind of still create a little bit of a veranda kind of effect. And there's also a mesh door that you can buy for this as well. And the mesh door actually can sit on the outside of the panel rather than the inside. So if you still wanted to make kind of a veranda and have the mesh on the outer skin, that works really quite well as well. But the one thing I do like about this, because the panel and the doors go either way, it doesn't matter what, if you've got a continental vehicle or a UK-based one. There we go. Just caught off the zip a little bit there. You can tailor it to work wise. So you always have an opening this side and carry it through into the tunnel section, or this side. So you've got the best of both worlds. Tell you what, let's bring the camera inside and talk for a load more features that the Club Driveway has to offer. So now around the front awning, you can probably appreciate for the overall height you've got in here. As I said, really great, and we'll work our way into the actual model itself. Like I said, you've got different zip colours on the side, so we can bring this halfway if we wanted to. So just by having the door nice and neat, this could be our main entrance. But what I'm going to do for the sake of the video is I'm going to take the panel to the bottom. You of course can remove it fully if you wanted to, but all I'm going to do is just kind of leave it folded in the corner for the time being, just to keep it out of the way. So we'll leave it down there for the time being. So now you're into the main body, you can see the overall size of it. I mean, being 6'2", that's great. Stand up fully in the corners, and especially in the side here. This is important because it means you put your tables and chairs closer to the edge, and it feels like a bigger space than you actually would appreciate. The height in here is quite boastful, actually. It's been a while since I've been sort of in something like this, really. And as mentioned, the side panels completely remove, and the back panel completely removes as well. So it is just a glorified gazebo. A big update they've also made for kind of the driveway collection is we've now got a different colour curtain running system. So it's much more thorough, much easier. It's not kind of a plastic bit. It folds and makes the pack size much easier. But also the actual clips that go onto the point are much easier. It's almost like a full-on hook that goes on rather than those plastic horrible shower curtains. And again, the feel of the fabric is much nicer. And for the front panels, for example, you've got a little retainer strap as well. So you've got little button clips, obviously to keep it neat and tidy. So when you want to get your privacy, you can quite happily do so. But again, it's another great little addition that they've added to it. I think it works really quite now. And again, button clips rather than just some sort of plastic parts just helps to give the class a little bit more up. The more important thing about the versatility of this middle door is, like I say, if you've got a Continental vehicle and your sliding door goes from, say, front to back, or you've got like a California where you've got doors on either side, my Ford Custom Transit does the same. I can pretty much orientate which way the sliding door goes. So for example, if I want the sliding door to go from, say, from this side backwards, obviously then this means that my corridor lines up here and creates a little bit of a dead space located there. Whereas if, for example, it's the other way around and the door slides from this way to that way, again, same thing, you kind of open the door up, this panel goes back, this then becomes your entrance, and then you have a little bit of a dead space. And I'll bring the camera in a second just to show you that as well. You've still got little Velcro tabs here again for the Saber lights lists you can buy for it. All of the old accessories will still fit this model as well. So if you've got the mesh panels, the roof linings, and the storm tie-down clips, the annexes, they all sort of match and Mitch and Max. match up with what you've got here as well. So you can kind of mix and match the options as well. But the apex vents located on the inside, and you've got a single point inflation as well. So it's pumped up from one point located on the outside, but the bottom of each beam is a deflation valve. So the joy of this means that it's very easy to get the air in, but also to get the air out. You get a manual stirrup pump supplied with it as standard, but you can buy electric if you wanted to do so. It's a little bit slower, but you press the button, let it do its thing, and then you haven't got to worry about it again, which is quite nice. The two side panels can interchange as well. This is important because what happens is it moves the sort of door. Rather than the door being towards the back of the awning, it then places it at the front. So again, that's something you can look at as well, because also depends if you want that nice crystal clear window or whether you want that mesh window, to which side you go for that as well. You've also got little tabs are located up here. That's for the roof lines, but there are Velcro points located there. Again, that is for lighting or any lighting you want to have. So you don't have to go for the official kind of Dometic lighting, the 150 Sabres, because to be honest, they're a bit bulky. I would personally probably opt for some sort of flexible lighting, just go round through the tabs and all the way around there. I think that works quite nicely as well. You've also got a hanging point located here, so if you wanted to buy like a pole or anything to hang off there, you can create a little structure quite nice and neatly in there as well. Tubes are quite firm, like I said, 9 psi is the recommendation to pumping up, so that works well. And I'll tell you what, I'll show you the adjustment system on the tunnel section. You know, it's never going to be completely weather tight, but it gives you a lot of flexibility, and you can pick and choose kind of how you want it to be. In fact, let's bring you around the outside for a second, look at how it's sealed. But I think the design of it again is a bit quirky. Look how much that canopy overcomes at the front. You've got some roof lights obviously located there as well. The apex vent, as was sort of previously mentioned, and you've got these little kind of tabs located just to kind of keep any water away from the vehicle itself. The ripstop fabric, you can probably just about see the detailing of it. Really quite nice. This is where the magic happens. So we've got straps that can throw directly over the top of the roof. There's a small little extra bit as well that goes over it. Failing that, you can go directly into the rail there if you wanted to. The fabric all tucks round quite nice and neatly in there. There's an internal strap I'm going to show you in a second. You've also got pre-punched holes, so if you want to buy some limpets, you can also help to seal that against it. But because you've got a door on both sides, it doesn't matter if you want it from the front of the vehicle or the back of the vehicle, you can also do so without going through the awning the whole time. As we kind of come inside, we can look at kind of, albeit the curtain out of place, the curtains and the new runners, so it works really quite nicely as well. But much easier, better fabric, and again, little hanging points, the Velcro tabs, but that canopy on the overhang, again, is something a little bit different. Something we've not really kind of seen sort of similar on the awning. That comes really quite, I do quite like that. As we come in the back section, this is that little corridor I was talking about. So you've got your main body, which is located there, and this is the little corridor. So depending which way your sliding door opens, depends if you create a dead space sort of at the back of the vehicle, at the front of the vehicle. You've got a range of webbing straps located on the side. It's basically designed to sort of tension the side up. There's also a separate one in the roof section, so you can obviously then get a bit additional torsion on there. There is a slight slope for basically, because the awning typically tends to be higher than the main body, it pushes the water back and then off the side of it as well. So that's something to be aware of. That's why you need to make sure that roof is properly taut. But you can see on obviously how we got the side door located there, and because the tunnel section is wide enough, it means we can open the tunnel section, the door can open fully within the area. And then we've got internal tabbing, so again you can see the additional limpets that we can use to seal the awning against the main body if we wanted to. But no, I think all in all it's a really quite smart model. The small little improvements I think with, well, not little, but some of the big improvements with, say, things like the fabric. For one, the canopy, obviously the dyeing of the fabric, the little additional run-off points, the curtains, the extra mesh. There's a lot of lots of new and exciting things on this model. The only thing, like I said, to be purely aware about is probably the bulk of it is bigger than probably what you would expect for most camper van awnings, and the weight. But apart from that, like I said, you can separate that to make it into two smaller sections. So you've got something for cubby holes, you could do so. You would have to buy a separate bag potentially, but all in all, I think it works really quite nicely. And like I said, at the top here, you've got the isolation valves as well. So if you, God forbid, had an issue, you can isolate off each point, and then you can then patch, repair, replace whatever you want of the individual tubes. But yeah, all in all, nice little model. Something I do quite like, something a bit different as well. It's not your typical, your typical kind of driveway awning. It's smaller, and again, not having a sewn-in ground sheet in this, there is also the options for flooring. Sometimes campsites can be a bit finicky about having a breathable ground sheet, so that's where this ticks a big box as well. So that is an option, and means that if you have it as a gazebo style things, it doesn't matter if it starts raining, the water's going to sink down into the ground, and then you haven't got to worry about it. So that is also quite a nice fundamental feature of the club driveway and all. But by all means, we'd love to hear what you think, so feel free to comment in the box below. Check out more information via the link below, it takes you through to our website. We've got all the latest pricing and all the other videos with the pitching, packing and that sort of thing as well. Yeah, I think they're all a great model, nice. You know, it's definitely more on the expensive side of the market, but I think you pay for the functionality you get and all the features you get and the versatility. So I see why it's what you pay. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, to be honest. But I think for those people who maybe come from caravanning and want the same kind of features and built into the model, then I think it works well. Like I said, the club before in the Profab wasn't the most popular thing, but those people who had it loved it. Plus the fact you can also buy annexes to go on either side. So some people you can have up to 4 people staying in the awning without losing your internal space. Yeah, or conservatories, and you can buy, they're in add-ons. So you know, you're just utilising space at the front and the back of the pitch anyway. You're not coming out any further. So there's all these little things that do make it quite special in a way. But let's see. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it's been helpful, and feel free to let us know what you think of the model below. And hopefully we'll also see you again in our next Attwoolls Outdoors video review. So until next time.